if you means that do it. Burger
Technical difficulties.
Hello and welcome to At The Fringe. Good evening, everybody. Hello. Thank you for coming this evening. Welcome to Edinburgh. One of the joys of coming to Edinburgh is, you know, the socialising after the shows. It's always good fun to talk about other people. But it is quite a strain for a man in his 40s like myself, because, you know, the pubs sort of close at about 5. It's one of the few places in the world at this time where you can be going home at 1:30. People say, early night. Oh, yeah, I'm being sensible. Because to be honest with you, I'm at the age where I've reached the point, if I actually queue up to get into a nightclub and the bouncer says, you can't come in, pal, can't come in, I'll just look at him and say, oh, thanks, mate. My feet are absolutely killing me, they are. If you've got young friends, they'll talk you into it. They'll say, come out the weekend. Come out, man, come out. Come out, man. Come and take some photographs with us. Come on. And you'll end up in a queue to get into a nightclub. You'll end up in a queue. And they will be excited by the queue. They'll be like, it's happening in here, man. Look at the queue. It must be happening. Look at the queue. I'm in the queue thinking, oh, we're never going to get a seat in there. I bet it's noisy in there. DJs don't like it if you go up. Do you do requests? Yeah, can you just turn it down a bit? Talking to my mate about his divorce settlement over here. Are you ready for the first act of the evening, people? I've been doing stand-up for quite a few years now, and I've worked with some very exciting people, none more so than the next man who's about to come onto this stage. So I would like you to welcome this man, go wild, go crazy. Welcome stage, Mr. Russell Kane!
So, good evening. How are you doing, Edinburgh and Radio 4 combined? Could it be any more elitist in the room? Continue, Jester. I try. Ching, 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 ching. I love you get a full sociological apartheid in Edinburgh in August. It's fantastic. No in-between people. Just festival-bound people going, let's go and laugh at something postmodern. Quickly, Ollie, we're late. Quickly. Maybe there'll be jokes about badgers and jam. At least a reference to Iran. Quickly, quickly. Ahmadinejad's not going to satirise himself. And then no one in between, and then just the poor people who are not even aware there's a thing. I'm trying to earn a living, stop staring at me with your programme, or I'll stab your wee face. Quickly, head back to Musselburgh, head back to Morningside, run out of hummus, we may be stabbed at any moment, quickly. If if you act like a curmudgeon, guess what? You produce the chemicals in your body that are related to depression, and you actually can shorten your lifespan. This is the latest correlation they found, the latest argument for why men might die before women. There is a correlation between happiness and how long you live. Do you remember the old theory? Probably, this must have been thought up by a man. No, it's natural that women should live longer than men. They've evolved to live longer, obviously, so they can provide grand maternal care for the next generation of children. Do you think it might be a man that came up with that theory, too? That's right, you've evolved for a bit longer in the kitchen. Get back in, that's it. Suckle one last generation, you withered old harridan. Oh, please, I just want to watch the telly. Have you ever seen a woman in her 60s or 70s get a sudden another lease of adolescence? He's dead, the miserable sod's dead, hooray! Hooray, that lump of kryptonite that ruined every day has disappeared out the comfy chair. Yes, do. And, as you might have gathered, I'm doing a sociological theory of dressage while I'm up in Edinburgh, but that's not it. I got fascinated by Shakespeare as well. I'm doing a play called Fakespeare, not like most of the other Shakespeare you see up here. There's lots of Shakespeare rewritten in Edinburgh. It's like, hey, look, let's rewrite Othello. Let's perform it in chav. Come on, quickly. I've got a first from Oxbridge. Let's ironise it. And, no one's really taken our language, tried to re-speak our transient, appalling, pointless narratives and apply iambic pentameter to them, mostly because it's bloody difficult, I found out, as I was rocking back and forth in my cell. It all came from this one heckle I received at an arts festival, totally the opposite way round to the Edinburgh Festival. This is a comedy festival with some theatre in it. I'd been asked to perform comedy at a theatre festival, and that's when my unfashionable Marxist simplified sociological chip lodges itself on my shoulder. And I've gone on, and instead of being, nice, cleaned-up language for radio and relatively erudite, I hope, I just panicked, because everyone was elitist, no one was laughing. It was all children in the front row, 12 to 14-year-old children that had been learning about Strindberg and Ibsen and Chekhov, and then me just swearing. I felt like a cloth cap was glowing on my head, and I was about to clean their chimney or something. And the gig went horribly wrong, and the last thing I remember before I was escorted, I'm too friendly to be escorted from a gig, but this one I was ushered out of. A 12-year-old child has stood up, already taller than me, this 12-year-old child. You know how tall elite children are. We've had correct nutrition for generations, hooray! And the last thing I heard before I was heckled was this: get him, Ollie. Right? This 12-year-old has heckled me with, excuse me, stand-up comic, do you realise that your attire is somewhat obtuse? That was his heckle. Nice one, Ollie, you told him. One of the tutors went, come, he might be dressed garishly, but we shouldn't point it out. Come, children. My job is to think of something creative or witty or surreal, just something brilliant to put him in his place. But where they were elitist and they were judging me because I've got estuary vowels, I just panicked. I panicked and said, yeah, I've had your nan, right? Obviously makes for a funny anecdote. But at the time, it was met with horror. Because I defended myself, because I felt they were being prejudiced against what, weirdly, a prejudice we're still allowed to have, a sociological. And I was escorted from the gig. And the last thing I heard, which led to my Fakespearean play, which I've been lucky enough to bring to the Fringe, was this: that's right, go back to Southend-on-Sea. Go back to someone who could really write an insult. Look up the originator of all metaphysical thought and poetry. Why don't you try Shakespeare? Goodbye. Like that. And I thought, A, the prejudice of assuming, because of my accent, that I have not read any Shakespeare, I've assumed that's what was going. But B, the impracticality of defending oneself in blank verse as though it's the accepted mode if I was getting any trouble in Yeats's Wine Lodge in Southend. So I thought a good way to finish, so I could try and woo someone in the front row with a bit of Fakespearean verse. And what's your name, madam? It's Rachel, for people at home can't hear that. Some people are wincing and they go, oh my God, he's taking on pentameter. I can't believe it, Roger. I would rather hear an offensive joke than this. But no, madam, I've never had someone in their head in their hands. Please have the correct number of syllables, Jester, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on radio, Fakespearean verse. Okay, Rachel. If beauty be the goal of nature, then thy netting is by Ronaldo infinitely struck upon. If the orbit of thine appeal compels my heart's travel, then thy beguile is as the M25 motorway. Yet every slip road is clogged with suitors. But hear now that I, with TomTom Satnav, have crafty B-roads found. And I am broken down in ecstasy upon the hard shoulder of thy love. We have to have the final couplet, of course, madam. I desire thee as all of girls aloud combined. The ginger one, remove Ed. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, tonight.
Wonderful Russell Kane there. I'm trying to keep my weight down at the festival. It's not easy, is it? The chip shops are phenomenal. This is something, if you fancy a little walk, at the top of Broughton Street, there's a chip shop, and they have a DJ on Friday and Saturday night. You know, when you're drunk and you walk home, and I looked in and I thought, there's a DJ in the chip shop. I had to go back. There's a DJ in the chip shop. I'm trying to keep my weight down. I'm going to probably join a gym when I get back from the festival. I normally join a gym after Christmas and then after the festival, you know, because I'm all enthusiastic to get started, but it never really works out. But I joined a gym after Christmas, and I went to this gym and I thought, right, this is it, going to turn your life around. I got there early and I looked around, the machines all seemed very, very difficult for me, so I thought I'd do what I know I can do, a sit-up. I went, laid down on the mat there to do some sit-ups. And I woke up 2 hours later. I felt absolutely fantastic. When I got myself a frothy coffee and a chunky Kit Kat, I was buzzing for the rest of the day. I really was. We have another act for you people. Are you ready for the next act? Yeah! One of Scotland's finest. Please welcome to the stage, Fred Macaulay!
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. What a delight to be in Edinburgh. I think I am of average intelligence. Reasonably intelligent is what I, Fred Macaulay, think I am. And I guess if we added up all the IQs of the people in this audience and then divided it by the number of people in the audience, we'd come up with an average IQ. But I was faced recently with a question that I didn't feel I was able to answer. I was flying down to Bristol from Glasgow, and I was going to have to go on an airline that I can't mention, but the people employed in it wear orange tops. I was going down to do an event for a company in Bristol, and they booked me on this flight, and I went along, and I was checking in, and the young lady with the orange top, she said to me, "Could anyone," and I thought, oh, here we go, we're on safe ground here, I've had this question before, but she flummoxed me. She said, "Could anyone have interfered with your baggage without your knowledge?" I had to phone the client in Bristol. I said, I can't come down. Why not? I said, I failed the philosophy. Could anyone have interfered with your baggage without your knowledge? Of course they could. If it's out with my knowledge, I can't tell you anything other than yes. So I refused to fly with that airline, and there's another one I refused to fly with. They're from Ireland. My son is going to Spain in 2 weeks' time, and today, ladies and gentlemen, I went online to check him in online, which you can do 15 days in advance. I clicked a box today that said, "Will anyone in 15 days' time have interfered with the baggage?" We've not even bought the baggage yet. The baggage is getting manufactured. It could be getting interfered with as we speak. Ludicrous. The airline I'm talking about, you probably are aware of budget airlines, and I've achieved a lot in my life. I changed occupation 20 years ago. I was an accountant. I gave it up. I got into comedy. And I've managed to achieve a lot of my ambitions, and I'm left here with one ambition in my life, and it's a simple one. I want to work in the bar in Dublin where Michael O'Leary of Ryanair goes for a pint on a Friday night. I want to be the man that stands there and goes, "Hello there, Michael. How's the crake?" "What can I get you?" "A pint of lager." "That'll be 49 pence. "Yes, I know. That appears cheap." "The glass is going to cost you £2. "And will you be wanting a head, Michael?" "That's another £1. "No, it doesn't come to £3.49. Did you not book your pint online?" "Have a seat if you like. Just join the queue." I don't know what you people all do for a living, but my kids are all grown up and they're moving out of the house, and we were faced with a dilemma, Mrs. Macaulay and I, what we were going to do to kind of fill up the house. So we've done something. We've started getting dogs around the house. We've got black Labradors, and we breed them and we sell them for cash if you're interested. Not that we don't declare it. I'm not an MP or anything like that. I've just done my annual return, and last year we had a litter of 9 beautiful two beautiful Labradors, and of those 2 we kept 3. They're gorgeous, beautiful dogs. And the great thing about having dogs in the house is that they're intensely loyal. It doesn't matter what kind of rotten day at work you've had. If you come home, you get exactly the same greeting from a Labrador dog day in, day out, which is basically you open the front door and the dogs come thundering down the hall going, "Hiya. Have you got any food?" Because there was once, 800 years ago, a Labrador missed its lunch. And none of them are prepared to take the risk ever again. They'll eat anything, anywhere, anytime. And we're quite strict with the dogs. My wife and I were fairly strict. We don't feed them from the table, we don't let them up in the furniture, and we don't let them in certain rooms in our house. That's the rules that we employ. But I've been married 25 years. There are the odd occasion when my wife and I still go out together, for a meal perhaps, armed with a book. We'll need something to do while the food's getting prepared. We leave the kids at home in charge. Goodness knows what happens. You know, we'll come home, we might go straight to bed. You come down the next morning, bleary-eyed, open up the front room door, and there's the Labradors on a settee each. Morning. What's wrong with your face? Did you not hear about this last night? The new rules, I think the Americans call it regime change. Are you going through the kitchen? You couldn't bring me a biscuit, could you? Yeah, I'll have a Twix. None of that doggy nonsense. Incidentally, we had a wee wander upstairs last night. I had a sniff around the spare room. It smells of you. Are we in the bad books, are we? Loser. I'm on a public mission to find whichever one of you ladies it was that imagined that banishing your husband or partner to the spare room was a form of punishment. After 25 years, it's what? The spare room! Oh, no. Fluffy pillow, remote control. No, I'll be crawling back here in my hands and knees. You wait and see. 6, 7 weeks from now.
Thanks very much. I'm Greg Macaulay. Are you ready for the next act of the evening? Go wild, go crazy. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Rich Hall.
Haven't been in America for the last 3 months. I feel out of the loop. I'm shocked. There are certain things that have happened in this country that are just truly, truly shocking, ladies and gentlemen. At what point did Iggy Pop decide to start selling car insurance? Where was I when that happened? Wow. Has this man no dignity whatsoever? Let me just back up for a second. Iggy Pop was an influential musician from the Detroit area in the 60s with a band called the Stooges. Thank you. There's not one person in the room caring who Iggy Pop was. Maybe I need to go back and see what the Radio 4 listenership actually consists of. It might not be hardcore punk rock and roll from the 60s. Hey, at what point did Rachmaninoff start selling car insurance? I thought he was dead. We have a wonderful president. Everybody likes him. He's good. He hasn't really done anything yet, but he's good. It's like, you ever go to a Denzel Washington film and you walk out and you go, I have no idea what the hell that was all about. Denzel Washington is really good, isn't he? He's always enjoyable, Denzel. He's solid. That's what we have right now. We are currently $11 trillion in debt, ladies and gentlemen. That is even less a response to the Iggy Pop reference. Not a single person had an intake of breath. You know why? Because 11 trillion is beyond comprehension. If you took 11 trillion cars and put them all side by side, it wouldn't equal the misery that comes from the tram works here in town. That's how much $11 trillion is, in the weirdest analogy ever made. but oddly topical. Not the people listening at home, they have no idea what I'm talking about. Let me put it this way. Maybe this was a lucky year for you not to come to Edinburgh, listeners. Many people haven't made it. There are a lot of bodies in a huge ditch on Princes Street. Yet to be identified. Many of them just pitched themselves in and gave up trying to get across town. And destruction and a decimation of lives that even terrorists are on time and under budget. This thing is going to go on for another 19 years. And the good news is, from what I've been told, it stops about a mile from the airport. So it's going to be futuristic travel for 12 minutes and then a 1-mile slog with your suitcases. That is so wonderfully Scottish right there. And Scotland is wonderful. It's just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Ooh, slightly disappointing. That's what's beautiful about it. I know Scots don't worry. When I say 11 trillion, that to you is, you're not going to worry about it. You don't care. Scots barely care about their own national debt. Do you even know what it is? No, 286 pounds. That's what it is. I've looked it up, and I'm going to pass the hat tonight and get this nation out of debt. They don't do that on Jonathan Ross, do they? No, they don't. The great thing, and I'll tell you why, because Scottish money does not allow you to take it seriously. American money is designed to scare the hell out of you. It's in God we trust, and then a president, and then a pyramid with an eyeball staring at you. It's a lot of mixed messages that keeps you on the back heel, Scottish money, it's hilarious. It's just, from what I understand, it's actually legal to print your own money in your basement. I've never seen two pieces of Scottish currency that actually matched. They're like snowflakes. Look at this one. You got a treasure map to some place. I don't know. It's made up. This is something like a wheel on a contestants game or something, and there's a Brigadoon. Does that really exist? Look at that. All you really need is a geographic anomaly on the back and on the front. Anybody who's ever discovered anything in Scotland. Here's a guy who found a pair of sunglasses on a park bench in Cumbernauld. Even British money at least has some, dignity. There's Charles Darwin on the £5 note, which you will not see in American currency. Trust me. Under In God We Trust, a picture of Darwin. So we have this, this new optimism, and I guess that accounts for something. So whether things get better or not, ladies and gentlemen, I hope they don't. You know why? Because when people are happy, comedians suffer. I need misery. I'm a comedian. I don't need to entertain a bunch of happy people driving around with their lucky cars, doing nothing. The absolute worst target audience a man could have. And yet you people show up every year. You turn this town over to every kind of loon and Amdram production and crazy weirdo. Oh, we're 17 years old. Let's do Clockwork Orange. I've never seen that one. Yeah, they have. There's 9 of them this year. And you turn your town over, so God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a fantastic place. Nothing can happen to you. Nothing. It is completely terrorism-free, because even if a terrorist showed up in Edinburgh in August with dynamite strapped around him, people just ask him for a flyer. Hey, kid, when's your next explosion? So, to wrap all this up, ladies and gentlemen, into one nice, neat, tidy package... For all you listeners at home, I clearly have no ending to this. I don't think many comedians would actually ask a radio listener at this point just to pull the volume down. And if you slowly pull it back up, I'll be gone. How's that? Just some kind of ending. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been best audience ever. Thank you. Good night.
Please welcome to the stage, Ali McGregor.
Hello, how are you? Are you good? Excellent. I'm going to play you a couple of songs, and I brought some instruments for you. I'm just going to share them with you. This one here, I like to call the future, but really it is called the omnichord. I'm also going to bring out another instrument, something that is very, very dear to my heart for quite obvious reasons. It is the Rolf Harris stylophone. For the people at home, they can't see this, but Rolf, in all his kind of, 60s or 70s glory, with his big, thick glasses, just on the front going, "G'day, g'day." I'm going to sing a song now that you may not think of as a stalker song, but I'm hoping after this you will. And I'm going to need a little bit of help from the audience, and I need to obviously find someone who has some experience. So, have you ever been a stalker, sir? Yeah, not that convinced, to be honest. What's your name? Craigie. Okay, for the listeners at home, Craigie, that's a very stalkery name. I mean, you know that. It's the E on the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this torch and you're going to shine it into my face like I know you've done before. So just going to shine that right in my face. No funny business, just right in my face. And we're going to, if the boys up the back could just bring the lights down a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Excellent. For those at home, this is really scary. Okay. So as I said, we are going to use a different rhythm, and this is the natural rhythm of stalkers, which is swing.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ali McGregor! Thank you very much to all our guests, Russell Kane, Fred McCauley, Rich Hall and Ali McGregor, coming to you from the Pleasance Theatre at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. This has been produced by Paul Russell and has been an open mic production for BBC Radio 4. Hello and welcome to For At The Fringe. I'm feeling quite happy, actually. My little boy turned up a few hours ago. I've not seen him for a couple of weeks. He's a lovely little boy. It was nice having a baby. The lead up to having a baby wasn't easy because we had to go to these classes. My wife's quite middle class. She's been skiing and everything. And she said, I've enrolled us for some classes. She said, so we can go and come up with our birth plan. They're run by the National Childbirth Trust. They're run in your local area by a very Mother Earth type woman. She's breastfeeding her 5-year-old son during the session. It's not uncomfortable at all. And she asked you to come up with your birth plan. Now, this went on for about 6 weeks. It was quite a struggle. I think by week 6 she was running out of ideas, so she picked on the men one night. She said, I'm going to ask the men this evening how they feel they would benefit by giving birth to the baby themselves. So, right, here we go, we're in a circle. The first bloke said, he said, if you gave birth to the baby yourself, he said you would have an empathy with womankind and a pain and struggle through the centuries. I was thinking, oh no, I was going to use that one. Chap number 2 dug in deep, he dug in, he said, if you gave birth to the baby yourself, he said you would have a bond with the child at a primeval level. Started crying. Nice touch. Mother Earth looked at me, she didn't like me very much, I'd kept my headphones on in week 2. She could see me sweating, she was loving it. She looked at me, she said, Michael? I said, well, at least you'd be 100% sure it was yours. I've enjoyed being in Edinburgh. I've had quite a nice time. Like I said, I'm a little bit scared when I come here of the local Herberts. Do you call them Herberts here? I've got loads of them around where I live, the Herbert children, what I call the little chicken children. You know, these hooded teenagers who seem to live on fried chicken. Wherever there's chicken, you will see the hooded teenager. They love chicken. They're lost somewhere between the sort of school and the pub. So chicken's going to have to do for a few years. They like to hang around by the chicken, don't they, the hooded teenager? They come in... The teenager's all twisted in now, by the way. The teenager's got inverted like this. They seem to have a leg they never wanted in the first place. They drag this leg along, coming towards you. Come on, man, let's go and get some chicken. Let's go to Chicken Cottage. Never was a place been further away from being a cottage. And they come at you sometimes, you fancy chicken, you think, I'm going to get some chicken. But you've got to negotiate the chicken children. And they come at you from the side, the chicken children, all twisted in. They've got their cap on and their hood up for maximum fear. They come at you like some sort of thriller video, don't they? All their pasty, spotty faces. They keep coming towards you. And all you can hear them saying is, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? The reason they're so obsessed with what's happening, they can't see where they're going. Doesn't mean you can lead them to the job centre with a drumstick, however. Come on, I'll get you a job in Argos. Come on. Are you up for a great big night? Yeah! You really are in for a treat. And I would like to bring the first act on this evening. I've worked with this guy many times. He is absolutely superb. One of my faves on the circuit. Please welcome to the stage, John Gordillo!
No, look, okay, firstly, all right, I saw this, I drove up from London, I came up by car, and I crossed the border, and just as I got into the border, I saw the most bizarre road sign, and I'm not a big aficionado of wacky sign comedy, but my God, this, I mean, it's just like a road sign, but it has philosophical implications that are still living with me 2 weeks later. I crossed the thing, and it's a big sign, and it was on an A board. It was not like a permanent sign. There were kind of, what do you call them, bollards next to it, but a big printed sign. And the sign simply read, "This sign is not in use." Why would you put that on a sign? I don't understand. Somebody printed that as a sign. What's the logic there? It's clearly in use. I don't understand what's with the existential philosophy. I'm trying to drive, and I'm questioning my own existence. Am I in a car? I don't know. I'm looking around. Do you think that the Highways Agency has a French philosophy unit? Could that possibly be what's motivating this entire... Well, of course, this sign is not in use. Well, it is a comment on the uselessness of language. It is very important to screw up the casual motorist on their way to work. Some other signs, we are trialing in the Lanarkshire area. I'm very pleased with this. It is one of mine. If no one is here to read me, am I still a sign? I actually hurt my neck doing that. I don't know why. How would a thing like that happen? Okay, and I saw this thing. And now, I'm a smoker. And I was in a bar. It was just north of Princes Street, just by Newtown. And it was a couple of nights ago. And I came out of the bar to have a cigarette. And are they presumably, how full of Scots are we here? Are you staycationers? Yeah, and we're resenting every bloody minute of it. So I come out for a cigarette. You know those signs that they have outside of pubs that are meant to stop you being drunk and disorderly? So, the sign that goes, "Who do you want to drive you home tonight? Do you want Bill, the bus driver, Steve, the taxi driver, James, the ambulance driver, or Ian, the police van driver?" So I'm smoking, and I'm stood next to these three young Scottish women, 20, 21 years old, the future of this fine country, drunk as you like, teetering, and we're all reading the sign together. And one of them nudges her friend and goes, "Do you know what would help us choose? It would be if they put up photos." I like to think she meant that as a joke, but her mate didn't laugh, so... Isn't it weird? Like the Nobel Prizes, the one awards show that benefits all of us, the one awards show that we could, whoever wins a Nobel is helping all of us, is the one awards show not on television. Every other possible awards show is on TV. The Nobels, no. The one awards show that means something, apart from maybe the Mobos, but I mean, it's not on TV. And I believe that's the reason why, because there's no show business in the Nobels. There's no bam, there's no here we go. There's none of that. That's what they should do. They should zhuzh it up. They should put some dancing girls in the Nobel, like the Oscars used to do. Have a big opening number. Nobel, big. My name is Amanda. I work in Rwanda. Nobel. Now presenting the Nobel Prize for Literature, please welcome Alexander Solzhenitsyn and Jennifer Aniston. Thank you very much. Thank you. It is a great honor to be here at first televised Nobel Prize. So to literature. The act of writing is an inherently subversive act, marking as it does the moment when the consumer of the culture decides instead to become a cultural producer. Jennifer? Books over the years have moved us all to tears and laughter through the use of words. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great festival.
That was Don Gaudello! It's getting quite late. I know. Some of the older, more responsible people are starting to think, my God, this is pushing on a little bit, isn't it? I've got work in the morning, I need to be dynamic. It's about this time I see their little faces working stuff out, working out how they're going to nick a little bit of time back. And they get in, they start thinking, when I get in, I'm going to put some cereal in the bowl. Put a bit of bread in me toaster. I'll get me clothes out. Gonna get me clothes out. That's what I'm gonna do. Get me clothes out. I'm gonna wear me clothes. Lay on top of the bed and wear me clothes. Got young people down here panicking that they haven't checked their mobile phones for nearly 30 seconds. I used to be a school teacher. I don't have to take this anymore. The amount of times I used to want to say that when I was training to be a teacher. What do you say? You don't understand what's going on? It's because you're thick. In my school, they had an inclusive policy. This means you had the very bright children and the more challenged children. They said, it's not a problem, differentiate. They said, differentiate the material, differentiate. So the brighter ones, I used to give 10 tough questions. The more challenged ones, I just used to let them spin in my chair. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to crack on with the show. Are you ready for the next act of this evening? Yeah! Please welcome to the stage Lucy Porter!
For you, it's lovely to be here. Are you having a brilliant festival? Yay! I am. Do you know, I have actually seen the funniest thing that I've ever seen at the Edinburgh Festival. I was on the Royal Mile the other day, and there was one of those, you know, the human statues, right? And he stood there, and there's this little boy called Callum, and I know he's called Callum because Callum's mummy and daddy have given him 20p, and they've said, now go on, Callum, go on, see if you can make the man move, see if you can make the man move. Callum just walks up and punches him in the nuts. I laughed for about an hour. He did move. I love coming to the festival. It is a bit late nighty though. We do have late nights, and I was walking along the street the other day, and I just looked up and I went, "Oh look, Iggy Pop's done another one of those insurance adverts." I was looking at my reflection in a shop window. No, actually, there's little kids here either, because I think teenagers get a worse press. I think people are scared of teenagers, but actually they're quite sweet, a lot of them. I was on the bus recently, and these two boys got on, and they were probably about 16 years old, and they looked to me quite tough because they had the trousers really low and they were walking like they'd pooed themselves the way they do, right? And I thought, oh, tough kids. But actually, they came and sat next to me on the bus, and they were chatting away. They were white boys, but they were talking in Jafaican, the way that most kids in London do. And one of them turned to the other one, and in perfect Jafaican, he just went like this. He went, "Thing is, yeah? Thing is, yeah, you know like Sebastian, yeah? You know like Sebastian, yeah? It's like my brethren. It's like my brethren. But it's well out of order. It's well out of order because I caught him smoking my weed in the conservatory." Isn't that the sweetest, most middle-class thing you've ever heard said? And I was delighted. I was joining in going, yeah, it's a bugger to get hot rock burns out of a chaise longue, isn't it? I was going to give you a little present before I go, because I like to give little presents to the audience. Like, often it's a motivational quote, something inspiring. Like, one of my favourite ones is, if you judge people, you have no time to love them, which I always think is a really lovely sentiment, that. And I like to share that with people as well, because those words were said by Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And I don't know if you remember Mother Teresa, but I always think that we can all learn such a lot from her, mainly the fact that you've got to moisturise. No, I mean, she was an amazing woman, but she had skin like a scrotum, didn't she? So, my little present to you tonight it's a thing that came out of the fact I was on the phone to the bank recently. And you know when you phone up the bank, they always say to you, at the end of the conversation, "Is there anything else we can help you with today?" Right? And you're probably busy people, you probably say, "No, move on with your lives." But because I'm quite bored and quite lonely a lot of the time, I don't get much conversation. So this woman was really nice on the phone from the bank, and she said, "Is there anything else we can help you with today?" And I said, "I don't know, what have you got?" Right. And she was a bit flustered at first, because obviously they have a script, but it had run out. But eventually she gathered herself and she said, "Actually, Miss Porter, there is something we're advising our customers to do at the moment, which is to change your security question. You know, the question they have on file to check you're you. With me, it's always been, they say to me, 'What's your mother's maiden name?' Then I say Williams, and we can carry on. But the woman said it's probably a good idea to change that question from time to time. Obviously, if you're going to broadcast on the radio what it is, then it's fairly imperative that you do. But I will tell you my genuine question, because I changed it. And I said to her, "Do I have to pick, like, is there a list of questions that the bank approves?" And she said, no, you can have any question and any answer that you want. Right? Again, very bright audience. I can see the wheels turning here for some of you. Right? So you can think of your own, or you can use my one if you want to, because my one is, now when I phone up the bank, they have to say to me, "You're not going out dressed like that, are you?" And then in reply, I have to say, "You can't tell me what to do, you're not my real dad." is, though, if you do think of your own, because I told a couple of mates about this, and like my mate Dan, he's changed his, and his one is much more poignant and moving than mine, because now when he phones up the bank, they have to say to him, "Is that you, Anthony?" Right? Then he has to say, "No, Nana, it's me, Simon." Anthony died in the war, don't you remember? It's beautiful. That's like doing a little play every time you phone the bank. Lovely. But my favourite one, though, is the one that my friend John came up with, because John now, when he phones up the bank, they have to say to him, "Who's the black private dick who's a sex machine to all the chicks?" Right? And then naturally he has to say, "Shaft," right? But the brilliant thing about it was he phoned up the bank the other day and the guy said, "Who's the black private dick who's a sex machine to all the chicks?" He went, "Shaft," and the guy at the bank just went, "Damn right." Thanks so much for listening to Have a good festival.
Sorry, I'm a little bit grumpy now. Don't like going out that much, just like watching the telly, really. It's all I want to do, just watch the telly, be left alone. Watch programmes about decorating or cooking or anything where I'm not challenged. I'm going to paint the hallway beige. That'll make it light and airy, that will. Good idea. Don't like the cookery programmes too much. They get on my nerves, this constant cookery programmes every 2 minutes on TV. There's always another dickhead chef coming along and another Herbert chef. You know, this Gordon Ramsay, the man's out of his mind. I've never seen the man get so angry about everything, starting on people for no reason. I'd last about 5 minutes with this man. If he started on me, I'd be like, Gordon, we're doing a bit of dinner, mate. We're not sorting out the Middle East here. If it all goes belly up, I'll get us a bargain bucket. The beans as well. Are you ready for the next act of the evening? Yeah! You're in for a real treat. Please welcome to the stage, Alistair McGowan!
Nice to see you. I hope you're enjoying your festival. It's my first time at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe for 13 years, would you believe? 13 years. And it's changed a lot since I was last here. I've got to tell you, there's lots more, for a start, lots more Italian sandwich bars now, which is fantastic. No, it is. It's great, because not only have they got the breads now, which are fantastically tasty, but it means that you get to hear people from Wester Hales going into these shops saying, "Can I have a ciabatta?" The ciabatta over there as well, me, a ciabatta. I love it. But, of course, the trams are coming. Nobody likes the trams today. Nobody's very keen on it. Yeah, but I'm going to redress the balance now, because I think the trams need promoting, right? And I've written a promotional poem for the tram. It's written in the style, vaguely, of John Hegley, so I thought I'd do it in the vocal style, vaguely, of John Hegley. Here's my promotional tram poem for you, ladies and gentlemen. When you've had a wee dram, take the tram. If you've scored a few grams, take the tram. If you've been down to Leith to see your old pal Keith and you can't remember where you're from, take the tram. There's no traffic jams on the trams or newborn lambs on the trams, but lots of mams with prams on the tram. So don't damn the tram or slam the tram until you've been down to examine the tram in all its glory, because the tram is surely so much better than the bus. Yes, the tram is tremendous. Thank you very much. Now, England are having a fantastic run in the football at the moment. I don't want to rub it into the Scots, but 7 wins out of 7 in our World Cup group under our new manager, Fabio Capello. What a difference Fabio Capello has made. And it's kind of depressing, because Fabio's made this difference without really, when he started the job at least, being able to speak any English. Which made me think, how many words do you need to be able to speak to be the manager of the national English football team, you know? About 10, in Fabio's case, it seems.
Yes, no, good, bad, happy. It's me, you, ball, goal, money.
I've got to tell you, my favourite man on television at the moment is Adrian Chiles. You've seen Adrian Chiles, midweek Match of the Day 2, whatever it's called. He's on the One Show as well, Adrian Chiles. Or as I think of him, Adrian Child. Because he is just like a big kid, isn't he? Doesn't matter who he's interviewing, Gordon Ramsay, Gordon Brown, Gordon Strachan. He's just like a big kid sitting there going, what's it like being you then, eh? Is it good? Have you got your own house? Have you? Have you got your own house? You've got your own bedroom as well. Have you got your own bedroom? All right. Yeah. Hey, what time do you stay up till? How long does your dad let you stay up? What about the weekends? A bit longer, is it? Yeah, me and all, yeah. Hey, how far you been with the lady? Inside upstairs, you lucky son. But I love Heat magazine. And when I read Heat magazine, I can't stop myself from reading the 2 pages of Spotted. You know, the Spotted column where they tell you what celebrity has been seen where, doing what, in what mood, and with whom. That's basically the scope of those celebrity Spotted columns. And you have them in the papers now too, don't you? Any tabloid newspaper has a Spotted column about celebrities. And as my friend Stuart Lee once said, you read them and you feel so dirty, don't you? Because you know that of all the news, all the non-news in the non-newspaper, that is the most non-newsworthy bit of all. In it. And he's right, Stuart is right. You know that you would never hear those news stories on the national news. You would never see them on the television. You would never hear Hugh Edwards actually say, take that singer, Gary Barlow, has been spotted coming out of Hamley's toy shop on Regent Street with a good-looking male friend talking loudly on a mobile phone and laughing. More on that note from our economics correspondent, Robert Peston. Robert, what message do you think this sends out to the government at this very sensitive time? Well, Hugh, I think the government and the people of this country are going to want to know, and know quickly, why Gary Barlow was in Hamleys. Who was he talking to on his mobile phone? Why was he talking loudly? And why was he laughing? We're also going to know who was the good-looking friend, and, of course, just how good-looking was he? They're also going to want to know why I have such a ridiculous voice. But, of course, the Radio 4's big newsreader has gone. He retired. Brian Perkins, I'm sure you know him. He used to do the news. He used to do the shipping forecast as well, but he's moved on. Brian Perkins is now doing, would you believe, Talking Mills and Boone books. I took one out of the library the other day. It was a great listen.
Cassandra lay sprawled across the bed. Seth entered the room and looked at her naked, reclining body. Standing over her, he felt like a conquering Viking, fought his cromarty, forth.
Thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the festival.
Superb, Alistair McGowan there. We have a superb treat for you to close this show. Please welcome to the stage, Tom Basden!
So, just some songs. Songs? Yeah? Yeah, okay. I've got a guide dog, I shouldn't have one, he doesn't know that. Short one, just a little short one. So, yeah, they're not all long. That one's interesting, that one's a sort of medium length to me. Short ones than that. This one's a bit more sort of moody. Well, it seems so bad, but it feels so good. Well, it seems so wrong, but it makes me feel so warm inside. And anyway, it's only hired. Weeing in my wetsuit, I'm weeing in my wetsuit, I'm weeing in my wetsuit. Is it really such a crime? It's not like I won't give it a little rinse before giving it back in an hour's time, and everyone looks suspiciously at me. The instructor guys make suspicious eyes at me. I guess I should have waited till I'd actually got in the sea. This little song is it's sort of not very nice, but it's quite a nice tune, so I think it's sort of quite summary, isn't it? It's quite. Yeah. Woo. And it's all about how quite a lot of my friends have had kids recently, so it's kind of loosely about that. Ugly baby, you've got an ugly baby. Oh, what an ugly baby. I don't know what to say to you. Oh, what a lovely pram. I mean, it really is. I mean, it really is a beautiful pram. And would you look at that? Hasn't it got your... It's really got your... love. No thank you, I wouldn't like to hold it. No thank you, I shouldn't like to hold it. Partly because it might vomit and because I might vomit on it. I know that you were sure at the time, but is it definitely mine? Not very nice at the end, as I said. Yeah, okay, I'll do this one. I'll do this one. This is quite nice. You see, you're allowed, on radio, you're allowed to look at your hand. It's all right. Doesn't matter. It's not impressing you lot, but you can do that when you. I mean, admittedly, you shouldn't really talk about it because that's what gives the game away. I'm a stalker. I stalk Paula Radcliffe, and not because I love her, but because it's a great way of staying fit. I'm a stalker. I stalk Michael Palin, not because I'm obsessed with him, but because he takes me to interesting places. I'm a stalker. Sometimes I stalk myself. It makes me feel important. But I don't think it's very good for my mental health. I'm a stalker. I stalk Ant and Dec, which can be quite difficult, because despite what you'd think, they don't live together. Thank you very much.
And that was Tom Basden. Thank you very much. That's all from us. Good night. Very much to all our guests, John Bordello, Lucy Porter, Alistair McGowan and Tom Basden, coming to you from the Pleasance Theatre at Edinburgh Festival Fringe. This has been produced by Paul Russell and has been an open mic production for BBC Radio 4.
Sorry, your time is up. Technical difficulties.